Like, it's nothing like I'd rather found or it just doesn't, you can't even comprehend. But I knew straight away it was acid. My t-shirt dissolved.
December of 2014, 30-year-old Andreas Christoferos was at home with his wife and young son when suddenly he heard a knock at his front door. Assuming it was just another friendly neighbor or perhaps a delivery man, he went to open it. But as soon as Andreas opened it, he only heard, "This is for you, mate," and was splashed in the face with battery acid.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys have been new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, at Gmails, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video. You guys help growing the community, man, helping people tap in with our content. I appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Seek the truth.
Women in Japan are actually paying to stay in prison. See, Japan's elderly population is skyrocketing, and with it, a shocking trend. There has been a surge in elderly women committing crimes like shoplifting deliberately to get sent to prison because the loneliness on the outside is so severe. In fact, in the last 20 years, the number of elderly inmates has risen by almost 300%. See, because on the outside, these women often live alone with no family to visit them or financial support to rely on. One inmate interviewed said her 43-year-old son, who she was living with, once said to her, "I don't care when you die, I wish you'd just go away." But now she's behind bars, she has routine, people to speak with, meals, and even medical care. Rather than shouting at them, the guards go as far as changing their diapers, helping them bathe, eat, and even take their medication. One said it now feels more like an elderly home rather than a prison full of convicted criminals. There's some that even say they will pay 20 to 30,000 yen a month just to live there forever. And even though they eat their meals in a cell alone in silence, just knowing that others are around is enough.
I was just about to say that. That's not that doesn't sound like a prison. That sounds like an elderly home. But the fact that they have to go to that extreme just to get there, just so they won't feel alone anymore when their families left them, that's sad, truly.
Here's some of the dumbest crimes committed by children, except each time it gets dumber. A 12-year-old kid in Rockville, Maryland has admitted to police that he sent in at least 7 bomb threats to various schools in his area. And he said that he did it because he knew that he couldn't be charged for it. Which is true, because in Maryland, children under the age of 13 can only be charged for something that falls under a crime of violence. The kid was smart enough to know the law, but dumb enough to call in a bunch of bomb threats for some reason. The kid might actually have a bright future ahead of him. At a theme park in North Carolina, a 13-year-old boy climbed inside of a claw machine to steal one of the toys and got stuck. According to reports, he spent 17 minutes inside of it until someone was able to come pull him out, after which he was banned from the park for a year for attempted theft and being a dumbass. In North Carolina, a 6-year-old boy was arrested for picking flowers from a yard while waiting at a bus stop. The crazy part is he actually had to go to court for destruction of property. The kid's attorney was quoted saying the boy's attention span was so short she had to give him a picture to color during the trial. Thankfully, the case was dismissed, but this happened because North Carolina has one of the lowest minimum ages for criminal charges, and most recently it was just raised to 8 years old. My question is, who the hell is calling the cops on a 6-year-old?
Yeah, who? And the fact that he had to go to court for picking flowers? What's wrong with people, man? This is a kid. You can't let that slide. It's not like you're doing anything destructive.
In the world right now. If the Chiefs defeat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the Eagles' all-time record will be 666 wins and 666 losses. A judge annulled the marriage of a couple after the bride came to the court and said that she only participated in the wedding because she thought it was a social media prank. Another judge sentenced a woman for setting a home on fire with 3 other people in it using Takis tortilla chips. A bank robber was dazed and confused when his getaway bike was stolen. A Texas teenager was accused of using poison to end the life of a rival's competition show goat. A man in Cleveland was quoted saying he's tired of cars running into his house all the time after 3 have crashed in the last 10 years. A man in California was arrested after he told the officer he was the DUI instead of the DD. A woman was rescued after getting caught in an Italian cave for the 2nd time in 2 years. The EU fined the EU for breaking EU data protection law.
Fun facts
What?
you wouldn't believe are true. Godzilla is an actual citizen of Japan. Some species of jellyfish are actually immortal. The patent for a fire hydrant was destroyed in a fire. Outer space is only 62 miles away. You could drive there in an hour. If you flattened your lungs out, they would have about the same surface area as a tennis court. Saturn is the lightest planet. If there was a big enough body of water, it would float. An astronaut spacesuit runs about $12 million. The moon looks close, but you can actually fit every planet in the solar system between the Earth and the moon. In a lab here on Earth, scientists created a plasma that reached a temperature of 9.9 trillion degrees Fahrenheit. Over 50,000 people on Earth have alien abduction insurance policies.
Here are 3
I need to
ways
get
to
on
hack
that.
your body. Number 1, if your arms ever fall asleep, just shake your head like this and it will go away instantly. Number 2, if you ever have a stuffy nose, just hold your breath until you have to breathe again, and this will give you adrenaline, which will clear your sinuses. And number 3, if you ever have to really go to the bathroom but there's no place to go, just scratch the back of your calf as hard as you can. This will actually stall your brain, making it that you forgot you ever had to go.
I need to try that to see if that's actually true.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back.
What? I heard that about pigs, but I assumed it was cat.
Human
How
body
does
parts
that
that are
happen?
completely useless now. Number 1 is your external ear. Auricular muscles control the visible part of the ear, but humans have lost the ability to control this muscle, and other mammals can move their ears with these muscles in order to detect prey and localize sound. Next is wisdom teeth. About 85% of adults nowadays will have at least 1 wisdom tooth. Our ancestors used to have larger jaws, so wisdom teeth fit better, which is why we get ours removed now, and it was the answer for the need for chewing power that they needed. Next is body hair. Body hair was once required for warmth, and you can see we've lost a lot of it over time. We now have it in a reduced form. Next is your appendix. In plant-eating mammals, the appendix helps digest cellulose, and the appendix might not be completely useless. A recent study found that it helps aid in good gut bacteria. So let's say you have diarrhea and your intestines are flushed out, it provides good bacteria back to your gut after that.
This is the 5th
More you
scariest
know.
movie according to science. Paranormal Activity, released December 3rd, 2008. Before watching this movie, your beats per minute is around 62. While watching the movie though, it's bumped up to 85, making it a 15% difference in your beats per minute. A woman and a husband move into their dream home in San Diego. Unfortunately, since the woman could remember, she had felt like she had a weird paranormal presence around her. That wasn't good. After the first couple nights of living in the new house and they can't sleep, the husband then sets up a camera in the bedroom, and the things they see, well, I guess you're just gonna have to watch the movie. The movie, as I said, is called Paranormal Activity, and it is supposedly the 5th scariest movie, according to science.
Not for me. I know I don't do scary movies.
If you're celebrating Halloween, you need to know about this movie. This movie was so popular when I was a kid, but I realized a lot of people actually don't know about it. Trick or Treat is a 2007 horror movie that includes 5 different Halloween-themed horror stories. So I'm gonna explain all 5 of them. The first story, called Opening, is about Emma and her boyfriend Henry who go home on Halloween night. Emma blows out a jack-o'-lantern and starts tearing down all their Halloween decorations, not knowing that someone is watching her, and she's just made a terrible mistake. The second story, Principal, begins with Charlie stealing candy from his high school principal's house when trick-or-treating, but then he gets caught by the principal, who seems to be hiding a secret double life. The third story is probably the most well-known, called Halloween School Bus. A group of teens go to a flooded quarry, where one of them tells the group about the urban legend of the Halloween school bus. And in this urban legend, 8 disabled students were unalived by a school bus driver, because their parents all asked the school bus driver to get rid of them, as the parents were tired of taking care of them. Then we find out this might not be an urban legend after all. The 4-story surprise party is about a group of women who meet a hooded man dressed as a vampire. This story has a very interesting plot twist that you won't see coming. And the last story, Sam, is about the neighbor of the principal from the second story. And he hates Halloween. But as he walks out of his house, he realizes his entire lawn is full of jack-o'-lanterns. And there's mysterious messages written all over. In this story, it's finally revealed who this creepy pumpkin from the movie poster truly is. Follow for more.
Now, I'm sure we've all fallen asleep before and our arm went to sleep, right? And all you need to do to get rid of it is shake your head from left to right and it'll be gone instantly. Next, if you ever feel the urge to pee really bad but you can't find a restroom anywhere, start rubbing the back of your legs just like this. And in theory, it should just stop the urge instantly, because it'll force your brain to forget about it. And if you're ever enjoying a nice ice cream and you start getting brain freeze, try to warm up your thumb and put it in the roof of your mouth as flat as possible. Apparently, this will make your brain freeze go away instantly. And finally, if like many others you're having troubles falling asleep, try to blink your eyes super fast for 60 seconds, because it'll make your eyes tired, which will make it easier for you to fall asleep.
Just blink. These we getting the ultimate life hacks, with these clips. Psychological facts we need to know. The internet. Yeah, stay off the net. That's some good advice. You feel the same way? 3 to 4 a.m.? Really a complicated relation. You don't say. Nicest people look mean at first. That's true. I can believe that one. Songs, they do express feelings and emotions, so.
Southeast Oklahoma. On a foggy day in 1970, a group of high school kids are cruising the back roads of Southeast Oklahoma. One of the boys had to pee, so they pulled over. He got out of the truck, walked about 50 yards into the woods so that he couldn't be seen. He heard a tree snap, looked up, and he's staring in the eyes of a creature 3 foot taller than any man. It had matted hair, red eyes, and blood dripping off his chin. The boys ran as fast as they could back to the truck, yelling, "Start the truck, start the truck!" But what happens next is terrifying. The boys go to the sheriff's department, and when the deputy goes out to investigate, all he sees is animal carcasses everywhere, and the legend of the Green Hill Monster was born.
Green Hill Monster? We're gonna have to definitely do some research on that. That's my first time even hearing about that. That's why I watch these clips with you guys, man. Always expand my knowledge base.
Alright, for real, and I'm gonna show you exactly why. It's always the guy with the backwards baseball cap talking about this goofy shit. How's it going? My name's Vinny Santoro. I got a bachelor's of business from UMass Lowell. I like your chain though, dude. No hard feelings. I know a paisan when I see one. I just gotta give you a hard time. Everything grew a lot bigger because of oxygen levels. You should start teaching critical thinking at UMass Lowell. The time when there was more oxygen was like 200 million years ago, and the only thing that got bigger was insects. If this was a tree, the branches would be in like the goddamn troposphere. Does that make any sense? We read about them everywhere. They're in the Bible. They're right. But wait till you hear this. This book is called The Phantom Toll Booth, and in it there's a dog with a clock in it. Liberal media wants you to think this doesn't exist, but it literally says it right there in the book. The Smithsonian, they had their fingers in all of these reports. I love how many conspiracy theorists cite the whole Smithsonian destroyed giant skeletons claim literally originated in 2014 on a satire website. It was literally like The Onion. So you'll get these videos of these conspiracy theorists who are like, yeah, I have my third eye open, I read between the lines, and their source is like fucking clickhole. This creepy painting is actually some sort of evil apparition. Let's talk about the Rat Queen from the Layers of Fear remake. And of course, spoilers ahead. The Rat Queen also exists in the original versions of Layers of Fear 1 and 2, but we're going to be focusing on the remake.
The Rat Queen appears mostly as a painting in the stories of the painter from Layers of Fear 1 and the actor from Layers of Fear 2. She seems like a malevolent force that rats are drawn to, but it's unclear as to what her intentions are. What's really happening is that in the remake, the writer is writing the stories of the painter and the actor. For those of you not familiar with the series, these are character names. At the beginning of the writer's time living in the lighthouse, she unknowingly enters a pact with the painting of the Rat Queen. And part of that pact is the Rat Queen helping her turn those stories into successful books. However, this comes at a cost, and the writer ended up losing her son as a result of the pact. She returned to the lighthouse to burn the Rat Queen painting, but was met with a surprise. The physical form of the Rat Queen appeared and locked her in the lighthouse forever.
It's a
People are freaking
spooky
out
story.
trying to get the new Lamborghini profile icon, but everyone's getting scammed trying to do it. Over the last few months, there's been loads of profile icons coming out, and now you may have seen this new McLaren one going about. Quite cool, especially compared to some of the other ones we've had, but no one actually knows how to get it. A lot of people were saying that if you just type McLaren in the comment section, it comes up and gives it to you, but it definitely doesn't. So what is the actual way to do it? Well, I'll tell you right now. But first of all, you've got to go over to Tate McRae's page, who, if you don't know, is this person right here. Click on her profile picture and it will come up with this, and you press Get Frame. After that, it will take you to this page, which comes up with her new release and loads of stuff, where then, similar to the Squid Game one, you have to take part in a few challenges, complete these things before you can get it, such as following her, posting a video to the song, and also putting that in the hashtags of the video. Once your video is done, set to public and posted, after you've done this and the video is posted, the frame should just pop up on your page. If it doesn't, just click on your profile picture, go to frames where you can see all of yours, and select this one, and there you go.
Scariest.
So I guess that's how people be manipulating the system. Gotta do all that just, and people be doing that just to get an icon of a car on top of their profile. I wonder how many artists does that trick, man. They call it marketing, but could be looking at, as manipulating the market, man. I don't know.
Things ever found in the woods. A biker was in a Colorado forest when he found a metal wire tied across two trees. Soon more bikers began reporting the same thing. Someone had even lost their lives to one of these wires. It seems someone wants to harm bikers for some reason. Police have been looking into this, but so far have not found whoever's doing it. In December 2014, a man heard screaming coming from the woods behind his house.
It's a kid screaming for his dad.
You can hear a girl screaming "Daddy" and an adult voice saying, "Where are you?" The man who heard this said he checked the news every day, but heard nothing about the incident on the news. Some people commented on this, saying it may have been a setup for a kidnapping, but really, we don't know. One day, a Forest Service officer was doing a routine patrol of a trail in Utah. That's when he noticed a tripwire tied between two trees. He followed the wire, and it led him to this. A ball made of rocks and sharpened sticks, which was set to fall when the tripwire was hit. That was bad enough, but he soon found another trap on the same trail. A tripwire pulled tight, which would cause people to fall into a bed of sharpened sticks. Police began investigating this, which led them to two men, Benjamin Rodkowski and Kai Christensen. They claimed the traps had been set for animals, but the police did not believe this. The two men were later sentenced to 30 days in jail.
Just 30 days? These are some Rambo crap. Just 30 days? That ain't enough. You saw that dragonfish? That always blows my mind, man, when we go like under the sea, and we just find new creatures. I'm pretty sure the
Here are
dragonfish
6
ain't
facts that sound completely fake but are 100% true. I can pretty much guarantee one of these will be the coolest thing you've heard all day. Firstly, Picasso was alive at the same time as Eminem and Charles Darwin. Let that sink in for a second. What? Stonehenge was a tourist attraction for ancient Romans. The can opener wasn't invented until 48 years after the can. I mean, what? I imagine a lot of you enjoy eating oysters. I absolutely fucking do not. So might you after this fact. I'm so sorry. Oysters are always served to you alive. They only die when they go down your gullet. I mean, that's just What? If you shuffle a deck of cards, it is statistically likely that you've shuffled them in an order that has never existed before and will never exist again. Essentially, you were the first person in history to shuffle them in that exact sequence. Oh, and while we're on the topic of just what the fuck, there are more ways to play a game of chess than there are atoms in the observable universe. And if you type this into the comments, you unlock a secret TikTok emoji. Okay, that's enough wine for the day. Everyone with me?
Really?
Let's talk about a disturbing horror game that left me with more questions than answers. I Live Under Your House. Full game playthrough on my channel. This entire game is an enigma. You play as an unnamed creature that we never get to see. The only thing we know about your character is that they live underground beneath modern human civilization. You don't like leaving your tunnels, you don't want to go to the surface. But in this game, you have to. Loud construction work occurring directly above you causes you to investigate the surface, and you end up coming face to face with the human couple. The main hook of the gameplay is the amazing art style and trying to figure out what exactly you are. And the ending of this game, as well as its DLC, were certainly not what I expected.
So check that out. I think I could check out some scary
This is genuinely
games.
one of the most disturbing videos I have ever seen. It is the final footage that was found of a man who got lost in the Paris catacombs. In the 90s, a group of explorers were going through the catacombs of Paris, and they were getting pretty deep in there when they found a camera that was just abandoned. And upon reviewing the footage, they realized that it was from a man who was exploring down there, but he got lost. Watching the footage is incredibly chilling because he's picking up bones and skulls while he's exploring, but there's a point where either he hears something or he sees something and he begins running. He's running frantically and you can hear his breath getting louder and louder and louder. There's points where he doesn't know which way to turn, and finally, as he's running, he drops the camera. Based off of the paintings that people were able to see in the footage and the testimony of the people who found the camera, this man was insanely deep underground in the catacombs. He was really far into the uncharted sections. And you may have heard of the film As Above, So Below, the movie that was actually inspired by this footage. As Above, So Below is a found footage horror movie about a group of people going into the Paris catacombs trying to find a hidden chamber to find the Philosopher's Stone, the secret to eternal life, but they actually end up going into the layers of hell. And the creators of this film saw this found footage from the 90s and it inspired them to make their own movie. So As Above, So Below is based on a true story. I'm doing a whole episode over on my pod Frightful Fandom talking about the history of the catacombs, what they were used for, this very unfortunate true life case, and of course As Above, So Below.
Here are 10 creepy, disturbing, and scary facts you didn't know. Part 2. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. Until 1974, it was illegal to appear in public in the city of Chicago if you were ugly. During the early 1990s, a serial killer named Joseph Metheny owned a burger stand located in Baltimore, Maryland. After his arrest in 1996, he confessed to feeding his customers the flesh of at least 3 humans he had murdered. A new homeowner was shocked to find a rag doll boarded up in a wall cavity, clutching a note saying she killed a family. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, we still don't know where that signal came from. The movie The Hills Have Eyes was based on the true story of the Bean Clan, a Scottish family who would secretly ambush, kill, and eat travelers for 25 years. In 1957, 2 sisters, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, were killed in a tragic car accident. A year later, their mother gave birth to twins, Jennifer and Jillian. Then it gets weird. Jennifer, the younger twin, had scars and birthmarks on her body that were identical to Jacqueline's, the deceased younger sister. The twins began to ask for toys that had belonged to the deceased girl, toys they had no knowledge of. Albert Fish, an American serial killer, boasted that he killed in every state and claimed to have had over 100 victims. What makes him even more sickening is that he sent letters to his victims' parents to tell them how good their children tasted. A man named Francesco Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 sets of functioning male genitals. He worked for a circus and lived until the age of 78. In 2011, Anatoly Yurovich was arrested after 12 dolls were found in his apartment. However, they weren't regular dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that he had dug up, dressed up, and displayed. Like for part 3.
Y'all do not know what be going through people's minds.
Cannibalism is hidden within the movie Midsommar. One of the outsiders visiting the Midsommar Festival is named Mark, and he is deemed disrespectful by the entirety of the cult. And this is because of an incident where Mark is caught peeing on their ancestral tree. The film then tells us that Mark was skinned in order to fill the fool aspect of their ritual sacrifice. But that's not all that happened. Here are my receipts. Soon after Mark is skinned, they actually end up having a big, meat-heavy feast at the cult. This is while most of the characters are currently tripping. So whenever the camera does pan over to the meat, they all look like weird shapes. There's flies all around it. It's very bizarre. And it doesn't look like any type of meat you've ever seen before. So the basis of the theory is based off the fact that they needed to use his meat for something, so why not eat it? But that's not all. This is also based off of the theory that the woman that was trying to hook up with Mark from the cult actually bit off his private areas. Or at least tried to, because after we see that Mark has passed away at the sacrifice, she is adorned with this red horn in this very interesting area of her dress. And she has some bruises and scuffs on her face to match, seemingly from fighting with Mark. Which I would argue biting off somebody's junk is definitely cannibalistic depending on how it's going. Another detail in the movie that supports this theory is early on when they are driving into the cult for the first time, one of the characters is talking about how they heard of a woman who bit their boyfriend's junk off.
I'm gonna give it to you 10 undisputable facts that absolutely double penetrate pyramid deniers. To be clear, this is not a conspiracy theory, speculation, or even pseudoscience. Just sheer cold facts about the biggest pyramid in Egypt. You use that brain of yours and make your own conclusions on what they mean. Challenge me on any single one of these, I dare you. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built with around 2.3 million stone blocks, weighing anywhere from 2 and 80 tons, some of which were cut from a quarry hundreds of kilometers away. But they did it by dragging them through the sand, right? The latitude of the pyramid passes directly through this coordinate, which just so happens to be the exact measurement of the speed of light in a vacuum to 9 digits. But it's probably just a coincidence, right? We're told that pyramids were built as ancient tombs for pharaohs, but not a single mummy nor human remains of any kind have ever been found in any pyramid ever, and that's a fact. Someone else probably got to all of them first, right? The Great Pyramid is facing perfectly true north within just 3/60ths of a single degree, making it also perfectly aligned with all cardinal directions, east, west, and south as well. But they probably just used the compass, which was invented by the Chinese over 2,000 years later. If you drew lines from out of the cardinal points of the pyramid and wrapped them all the way around the world, they would go through more land than any other point in the entire world, essentially placing the pyramid at the center of landmass of the whole world. Just another coincidence, right? Ancient Egyptians had hieroglyphs outlining nearly every aspect of their lives, but not a single one of them depicts the construction of the pyramids. They probably just forgot to record the greatest achievement in their civilization's history, right? The original height of the pyramid, around 146.73 meters, is virtually an exact scale of the distance between the Earth and the Sun on the perihelion, which is the Earth's closest approach to the Sun, within 0.1% margin of error at 147 million kilometers. Has to be another coincidence, right? The perimeter of the Great Pyramid as a ratio to its height is the same as the ratio of the Earth's circumference at the equator to its polar radius to within 1/3% margin of error, essentially making the pyramid a scale model of the Earth. Take a moment to digest that, and yeah, it has to be another coincidence, right? The Great Pyramid of Giza is estimated to weigh around this many metric tons. The entire mass of the Earth is that many metric tons, making the weight of the pyramid an almost perfect scale of the Earth's total mass to, again, within 1/3% of accuracy. Yeah, these are definitely all just coincidences, right? The largest stones in the pyramid are found in the ceiling of the king's chamber. Red granite weighing up to 80 tons, which is as heavy as 2 Boeing 737 planes cut from the Aswan quarry over 1,000 kilometers away. But they probably just used ropes and sleds, right? Ain't no one can deny these cold hard facts of the Pyramid of Giza.
Any of you seekers gonna deny those facts? They were really trippy, man, when it kept going up, especially the number one, man. 80 tons? He said that's the equivalent of 2 Boeing jets. I don't know. Like I said, man, everybody gotta make their own decision. What do you guys think?
Year-old girl vanished into thin air, and then her body was found 1 week later under her 14-year-old neighbor's bed. On November 3rd, 1998, 8-year-old Maddie Clifton was playing in her front yard and then mysteriously disappeared. No one heard anything, no one saw anything. It seemed like the 8-year-old girl vanished off the face of the earth. No one could imagine that the entire time, Maddie was right across the street. Hundreds of people volunteered to help search for the missing 8-year-old girl, but it wouldn't be until a week after she vanished that the grisly truth would be discovered. Across the street from Maddie's house lived a 14-year-old boy named Josh Phillips. Josh was actually one of the volunteers that was helping search for his missing neighbor, but the entire time he was hiding a dark secret. A week after Maddie disappeared, Josh's mother smelled something awful coming from her 14-year-old son's room. So while Josh was at school, his mother decided to go in and clean his room, and that's when she discovered the dead body of their missing 8-year-old neighbor stuffed under her son's waterbed. Could you even imagine discovering something like that in your own child's bedroom?
Oh.
Thankfully, Josh's mother did quickly report what she found to the police. I feel like in so many other cases, family members, especially parents, try to cover up crimes for their children. I mean, just off the top of my head, I think of Kristen Smart's disappearance, but not in this case. And after Josh was arrested, he started to spill what he says happened the day that Maddie died. Josh says that that day Maddie asked him to play baseball with her, but while they were playing, he accidentally hit her in the face with a baseball, and that Maddie was screaming and crying. Josh says that he was terrified of getting in trouble, so he brought Maddie into his bedroom where he beat her with a baseball bat, strangled her, stabbed her, and slit her throat. A lot of people don't believe Josh's story at all. There's actually evidence that says that Maddie was not hit in the face with a baseball. No one heard Maddie screaming or crying outside, and many neighbors were outside at that time. And there's actually evidence that suggests that Maddie was SA'd by Josh and that was his true motive for committing this brutal crime. Josh spent a lot of time on the internet watching violent SA videos, which experts say probably led him to want to commit such a grisly crime. Reportedly, people that knew Josh were shocked to find out that he was the one that did this to Maddie. Apparently, he was one of Maddie's best friends and was described as not being the type to misbehave. People said that Josh was quiet and shy and exceptionally average. 14-year-old Josh Phillips was tried as an adult, found guilty, and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He will be in jail for the rest of his life. This is actually kind of seen as a controversial sentencing. I'm really interested to get your guys' thoughts here. I know everyone feels very strongly one way or the other. So please leave your opinions in the comments for me. What do you believe? Do you believe that minors should be tried as adults and or sentenced to life in prison? If you watched to the end, thank you so much for listening to the case of Maddie Clifton. This is such a tragic case of a little girl that had dreams of being a doctor or a rock star, but never even got a chance to really live her life. I love you guys so much. I know I've been saying that at the end of every video lately, but it's so true. You guys are the best, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
You ever heard of toothpaste? Yeah. So you know how the toothpaste at the bottom of that shit, there's always like a block of color.
Yeah. What is that? What is that?
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, I know exactly.
I'm gonna show you a picture. So you see the toothpaste, right?
Yeah.
So you either get black, green, red, or blue. You know what those mean?
No, isn't it just like anti-cavity?
No, they're all the same toothpaste brand. They're all the same type of toothpaste.
Oh shit.
But theory goes, the elites or the people that know the code stay away from certain colors of the toothpaste. So it's like if you know, you know. The code is if you have the green on your toothpaste, it means it's all natural. If you have the blue, it says it adds natural plus medicine. If it has red, it's natural with chemical. And if it has black, it's all chemical. That's a theory. Because all the toothpaste have that shit, and it's all the same toothpaste. Now, if you were part of some like secret organization,
one of these strangest.
That is true because, bro, if I go get my toothpaste joint right now, you can see it has that little black, bar on the back of it. I've always wondered what it means. nasty black hole chemicals. But watching these clips together, you guys, man, as you know, they said toothpaste has fluoride in it. It's not even good for your body, so you gotta switch off that, man. We learning.
Mysteries we've ever seen on the internet, part 2. So a few years ago, the internet went crazy when they found out these videos were actually uploaded in 2017. Then later that year, more videos were posted for 2021, which also became correct. But then the creator of the account came out and explained everything. Back in 2017, he had made thousands of videos, including thousands of different celebrities. So then when a celebrity did pass away, all he had to do was go in and edit the video to show the correct date, and then publish it so everybody could see it, whereas it was sitting on private. This upset a lot of people because it was such a simple trick and nobody really caught it at the time. Since then, there's been a lot of other accounts trying to copy this, and they're all completely fake, so if you see them, just ignore them. Guys, thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to like and follow.
Watch out for manipulation.
The
Facts right there.
In history, in my opinion, involves D-Day and a crossword puzzle. British intelligence lost their minds over this one. This table of chads behind me really wanted to keep Operation Overlord a secret. Nobody knew when it was going to happen. Nobody knew when it was going to take place. Nobody knew any of the details. They kept this under wraps. And if you even speculated on any of the information outside of these meetings, you would be demoted, you would be punished, you'd be fired, you'd be sent off to who knows where. So you can imagine the shock on their face when British intelligence was doing a crossword puzzle and they saw the code names for their operation inside of these crosswords. What is going on? Every crossword had a different code name. You have Overlord for the entire operation. You have Operation Neptune for the naval aspect of it. You have the beaches Omaha and Utah. There was Juneau as well. You have the Mulberry Harbors. There were all of the code names appearing in these crosswords right around the time they were planning this operation. I just want to emphasize the gravity of the situation. Millions of lives are at risk because of this code word leak. All of this was in a public newspaper. British intelligence rightfully thought a spy was trying to leak some information to the Germans, but it wasn't. It was a teacher. He was also a footballer with some of the biggest quads I've ever seen. Good lord, this was back in the 1910s. How did you get that? Leonard was definitely not a spy. He was just a teacher and footballer who liked making crosswords. And he would ask his students for the words for his crossword puzzles, and then he would come up with the questions. When his students would play hooky, they would go hang out with American and Canadian troops, and this is where they got the code names from. These troops would be openly discussing the operations when they shouldn't be, and the kids would remember the details. It doesn't matter if there's a spy around or not. There's a reason they tell you not to speculate outside of these meetings. Let's just count ourselves lucky that D-Day went the way it did. It could have been much, much worse.
In July of 2000.
Man. One little small change, man, and history could have been completely different. It goes to show you, man, how like a butterfly effect, man, it can truly change the course of history. Like, imagine the operation, man, if it would have got leaked to the other side. They would have been ready.
In 2012, Leah Hiller was training for the U.S. Triathlon National Championships in Island Lake, Minnesota. She planned to go for a mile-long swim, as she had done many times before. But what she encountered in this lake this time would turn out to be what nightmares are made of. The thing about Island Lake is that the water is the color of like dark rum. So if you put your hand into the water, you can't even see past your elbow. And so you have no idea what's beneath. So as Leah's father and 2 children stood along the shore and watched her swim, Leah suddenly felt a pair of tiny little hands grab her foot, followed by a sharp set of teeth biting into her ankle so hard that it penetrated the bone. All this happened so quickly, and whoever this little thing is that has grabbed and bitten her lets go. And so in these next few moments, she is so panicked and confused, trying to think, what is this in this lake that I've been in hundreds of times, literally during my training, that is now attacking me? I've never had anything like this happen to me before. And just as she's thinking that, she sees a small head, only a few feet away, emerge from this lake. And this head kind of looks around for a second and then sees her and fixes its gaze directly onto her and doesn't look away. And it's at this time Leah realizes she's looking at an otter. And she said, surely this can't be what just bit me. Otters don't attack people, do they? But what Leah didn't know at that time is that later doctors would realize that otter was currently infected with rabies. And so it essentially turned it into this rogue, bloodthirsty otter that was staring directly into her eyes. Seconds later, this otter torpedoes back into the water and heads straight for her legs again. Then she feels a searing pain, she described it, into her calf muscle. This otter's teeth sliced through her calf muscle while its little hands were grabbing her leg. And at this point, she begins to panic and scream. She said, "This thing is ripping me apart. I need help. It's crunching into my ankle bone. It's slicing into my muscle. I need real help, or this thing is going to tear my legs to pieces." On the shore, Leah's father sees this commotion. She's splashing and screaming and waving her arms all frantically and panicked, and he knows something's wrong. She's never done anything like this, and all the times that she swam in this lake, and so he quickly rushes over to a pontoon boat that he owned. But in his own panic of seeing his daughter in this state, this frenzied state, he accidentally floods the motor of the boat and it won't start, and he's not able to get out there this moment to help his daughter. And so Leah does her best to swim to shore, knowing she can't outswim this otter, and puts one hand over her throat, knowing that if she got hit there, she would not make it. And so she continues paddling to shore as fast as she can. The entire time, this otter repeated the same cycle. It would grab hold of her legs, bite into her, let her go, swim away, and emerge on the surface, looking around until it saw her position again, and then dart right back under the water and start it all over. This otter would go on to do this 25 times. Leah Hiller was ripped into 25 times by this rabies-infested otter, for her father was finally able to find a neighbor's pontoon boat and fire it up and get out there to save her. When Leah was finally pulled onto the boat, her neoprene wetsuit was ripped to shreds on the entire lower half of her body, and blood was pouring down her legs. Her two kids were horrified to see her and instantly started crying, and she was taken to the hospital. Later at the hospital, when doctors realized that this otter likely had rabies, she had to receive a rabies shot in every bite wound, meaning she received 25 shots in her open wounds. But Leah went on to make a full recovery, and she continued training for the triathlon and did not let this stop her.
She's a strong person.
It's nothing like I'd rather found her own. It just doesn't. You can't even comprehend. But I knew straight away it was acid. My t-shirt dissolved.
December of 2014, 30-year-old Andreas Christoferos was at home with his wife and young son when suddenly he heard a knock at his front door. Assuming it was just another friendly neighbor or perhaps a delivery man, he went to open it. But as soon as Andreas opened it, he only heard, "This is for you, mate," and was splashed in the face with battery acid. He says immediately he knew it was acid and ran through his house screaming for his wife to call 911 as he tried to find the kitchen where he would begin dousing his face with tap water. But as he ran to the kitchen, his t-shirt began melting off of his shoulders from where this acid was dripping onto it. And so finally his wife comes running down the steps wondering what is going on, and as she does, she has socks on, and when she steps in these areas where the acid has dripped off of Andreas onto the carpet, she recalls it disintegrating her socks off of her feet. Ultimately, he was rushed to the hospital where he was not expected to survive by doctors, but he fortunately has after more than 60 surgeries. However, he is still partially blind and forever scarred. The attacker, a painter and decorator named David Phillips, was later caught and confessed to police that he had driven 300 miles to find a man who he planned to get revenge on for SAing a member of his own family. But very quickly it was discovered that David Phillips had found the wrong house and splashed the wrong man. Phillips was convicted but has since been released from prison after his sentence was cut in half and is now back in society. Andreas says, in regards to the pain of that acid attack, he would have rather been shot.
This is everything that happened.
Whoa. That's hardcore, man. You opening the door thinking it's just any other regular day, somebody pours acid on your face. And you have to live with that for the rest of your life. It's clips, man. Always puts life in perspective.
Happened on the news today, but it's going to be simplified in 60 seconds. People are losing their minds trying to find the snow leopard in this picture. This is the picture. Let me know if you can find it. Apple is now officially suspending their work on the Apple Vision Pro 2, and they're planning a cheaper version. I think that this is crazy because whenever the Apple Vision Pro first came out, literally everyone was talking about it, but where did it go? There's a new viral trend that's going around that everyone's starting to do where you basically eat a Kit Kat with ketchup on it.
Yeah.
Ew. Something that a lot of people are just now learning is that there's an actual word called snacksident, and it's whenever you eat all of the snacks by accident. Okay. The FDA just issued an update on the chocolate recall. Basically, they're saying that the chocolate was recalled over fears that it may be contaminated with salmonella. And then they're saying that this chocolate that was recalled was issued to all of these states, if you want to pause and read. And then this is a list of all the chocolate that's recalled, if you want to pause and read this. Also, there's now over 580,000 different glass coffee mugs that are recalled because they can literally break when they're filled with hot liquid. Is that not besides the point? And then here's all of the details for that if you want to pause and read this. I give you these news roundups every day, so make sure you add me and come back to me tomorrow.
What really happened to Daquan? In the early days of Fortnite, a new streamer would bust onto the scene and seemingly take over the game. Through skilled competitive gameplay and highly shareable clips, Daquan would quickly become known as one of the biggest creators in Fortnite. After getting noticed by Dakotas in a squad fill, he was invited to play in a competitive skirmish, and this is where his name really began to take off. But then, right when it seemed like everything was going right, tragedy struck and Daquan seemingly disappeared from the internet. Month after month went by and still no word from Daquan. Then, after being gone for quite some time, he came back to stream with some pretty tragic news. He had lost the life of a dear friend, as well as family members, and dealing with his own illness. He was being transparent and it seemed like Daquan was back. Then out of nowhere, he would disappear yet again. This time, months went by with no word at all, until years later, this billboard appeared hinting at him and Hamlin's return. Like and follow for part 2.
The full Strawberry Moon is now officially only 2 days
tragedy
away
affects
on
everybody
June
differently.
21st. I think this is going to be really cool. You want to make sure you don't miss it. I'm going to give you guys more reminders. I give you these news roundups every day, so make sure you add me so you don't forget.
A secret entrance was found inside the Great Wall of China, and there was a terrifying dungeon inside it with a creature that should not exist. Just 3 days ago, an explorer from Ohio was on his way to China to visit the Great Wall. He was doing this for a YouTube video, however. Things took a big turn when he found something impossible. As the man was traveling across the wall, he noticed a loose brick beneath him. When he went to lift up the brick, he was shocked to find that it was completely hollow beneath him. He began taking off the bricks one by one around the area, and eventually uncovered a staircase that led inside the wall. At first, he thought this was just a part of construction, but that quickly changed when he came across a metal door, and when he opened it, he was terrified. On the other side, there was a tall creature that was chained up to the wall with wires connected to it. It had burning red eyes and 2 massive horns. The beast clearly looked to be like something out of Chinese mythology, and just before he was about to keep exploring, he had heard someone approaching in the distance. The explorer quickly took some pictures before getting out to see them comment view images.
This is everything that happened
Need
on
to
the
check
news
that
today,
out.
but it's going to be simplified in 60 seconds. The Netflix app is officially about to stop working on 60 different types of TVs next month, with thousands of people losing access. They're saying that Sony and Apple TVs are included in this, but here's the first list, and then here's the second list, and then here's the third list. If your TV is on this list, you're no longer going to be able to have Netflix. A father and daughter duo finally decode an alien signal from Mars 1 year after it was released. Okay. Basically, this was not a real alien signal. It was actually sent by the SETI Institute as a game a year ago. Obviously, they were finally able to crack the code, and they found out that it's actually an image of 5 amino acids. So, for example, like hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. People are only just finding out what Google really stands for after nearly 30 years. So they're saying that Google is actually just a misspelling of the word Google, and they're saying that if you don't know what that is, it basically means the number 1 followed by 100 zeros. I don't know what that means, but okay. The FDA just officially issued a nationwide recall for candy. They're saying that these candy products that are recalled were sent to Walmart, Hy-Vee, Target, and Dollar General, and then all of these states. This is the first part of the list of the candy recall, if you want to pause and read. And then this is the last part of the list, if you want to pause and read. This is obviously crazy, but I give you these news roundups every day, so make sure you add me and come back to
This is why you need to stop using your phone when you sit on the toilet. A 24-year-old man from China became paralyzed from sitting on the toilet for too long. He was watching videos on his phone while he sat on the toilet until his family became concerned as to why he was taking so long in there. After 30 minutes, someone came in to check on him and found him on the floor unconscious, and he was rushed to the hospital. At this point, he was already paralyzed. The doctor said that he was in the same sitting position for a long time, which limited his blood circulation in his body. Also, the air circulation in the bathroom wasn't the greatest due to the enclosed space, so when he suddenly stood up, the lack of oxygen to his brain caused him to pass out. But this isn't the first time something like this happened. Another man in China had to be rushed to the hospital when he noticed a ball-sized lump fall out of his anus while he sat on the toilet. It turns out that was his rectum, which was caused by the fact that he sat on the toilet for too long. So doctors have said that when you don't focus on doing number 2, this can lead to constipation, which causes strain and pressure down there. So moral of the story, let's start leaving our phones outside the bathroom.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you guys. That's a warning sign, man. Don't use your phone in the bathroom, man. We all been guilty of it, including me, but I update my life with these facts, so you won't be doing that anymore.
Things happening in the world right now. Champagne sales are down 15% in 2024, and multiple champagne executives have said that people are just not celebrating as much. This dog went in for a teeth cleaning and was spayed instead. These astronauts were only supposed to be in space for 8 days and now have to stay in space until next year because of new safety concerns. A new study came out and said that when Barbie learned what a gynecologist was, millions of other people did as well. It was recently revealed that this US woman who was tied to a tree in the middle of the forest in India tied herself to it. New research is suggesting that mayonnaise may help us develop perfect nuclear fusion. Remote work is to blame for Google's struggles with AI, according to the former CEO. This man was given 40 sausage rolls for 40 years of service at his job. This woman in her 70s was fired from Home Depot after failing to stop a customer from using a suspicious card to spend over $5,000 in fraudulent charges.
Weird Nature
How's she gonna stop that?
Part 26. The Blue American Rabbit was developed in 1917 by Louis H. Salisbury. Although it's natural, he never revealed what breeds he used to create this variety. In 1998, Honduras built a bridge over the Choluteca River, but the water was rerouted by Hurricane Mitch that same year. This mutated octopus with 85 tentacles was captured on an island near Japan. Known for its protrusible jaw and nail-like teeth, the goblin shark has only been seen about 50 times since its discovery in 1897. In 1493, Christopher Columbus mistook manatees for mermaids and wrote, "They're not so beautiful as they're said to be, since their faces have some masculine traits."
Simple psychological tricks that actually work. If you want someone to give you more information, try staying silent after they answer your question. The awkward silence will force them to continue talking. If you think someone's staring at you but you can't catch them, try yawning. If they also yawn, they've been probably staring at you the whole time. If you're in a conflict with a significant other, try using food to diffuse the situation. Have you ever been mad while eating a pizza? Follow me for more.
No, I haven't.
First songs you should never listen to. Barney's I Love You song.
I love you, you love me.
Yeah, this is a cursed one. This song can actually send you mad. It has a sick and disturbing past. It's the most overplayed song used by the CIA to torment prisoners. And music used for torture is a pretty interesting psychological concept, and this song makes it pretty easy.
I'll say it. You see through that.
The longest things in the world. Longest English word. Pneumona ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. Longest YouTube video, 596 hours. Longest song, Rise and Fall of Bossa Nova, 13 hours long. Longest film, Logistics, over 35 days long. Longest day of 2021, Monday the 21st of June.
This case
Wow.
no sense, and the internet is pleading officers to look into the case further. This is the young teen that sadly lost her life after being locked in a Walmart oven. Walmart employees started posting on social media why her death was suspicious. This employee shows how hard it is for someone to accidentally lock themselves in an oven. Check it out.
These ovens are so hard to shut from the outside, you have to push them. I'll show you. See that?
Ooh.
So you swing it open too hard when you get something out of the oven. Let's see what happens.
Whereas this talker showed how the door doesn't lock on itself. So someone had to be on the outside that latched it.
It closes by itself. It doesn't. It doesn't latch.
Oh.
It's designed not to do that.
So let's say she did get in the oven somehow, she would be able to get back out. Apparently some of the ovens also have like emergency shutoffs from the inside in case this does happen. So it seems like someone was on the outside that locked her in it. Because even if the door swung closed behind her, it wouldn't have been able to latch itself. Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. How do you feel about this case?
I think somebody definitely pushed that door.
Literally makes you prettier. My name's Angel, and I've been studying in the field of psychotherapy the past 7 years, as well as being a makeup TikToker. And guess what? I just got out of a lash appointment because I cried all of my lashes off this month. And am I mad at myself? Not one bit, because psychologically, crying is a sign that you're healing, not a sign that you're broken or weak. Why? Because your body is designed with something called lacrimal glands. Lacrimal glands are activated when you cry. When your lacrimal glands are activated, your body immediately goes from a state of fight or flight to rest and digest. Your body and your brain are literally threatened when you're in a state of fight or flight, but when you're in a state of rest and digest, you are healing. Your brain becomes prettier and healthier when you feel your emotions deeply. Don't feel wrong for crying. You're actually going in the right direction.
What if I told you that
Good
your
advice.
cat was a secret spy that was sent by the government? I know this sounds absolutely insane, but hear me out. In the 1960s, there was a CIA program called Operation Acoustic Kitty. The goal was to quite literally use cats as spies. The idea was they would implant these transmitter devices in the cat. They would eavesdrop on Soviet Union conversations. The CIA believed that cats blended in more than other animals, and that they could easily be trained to approach targets and transmit audio. This project cost $20 million, and the first spy cat was hit by a taxi. Rest in peace. In order to do this, the CIA implanted the radio transmitter into the base of the cat's skull, and sewed a microphone into its ear canal, and embedded an antenna into the tail of the cat. Here's an x-ray photo for reference. This is like a literal monstrosity. Like, they're literally ripping apart these animals and like putting an antenna in their tail. And the way that they were gonna control the cats is by using audio cues. Thankfully, there were a lot of complications with this like operation, and they ended up closing the project in 1967. It feels so bad for these little kitties. Follow for more.
Psychology hacks to read anybody
Insane.
like a book. When he agrees with you, but he's shaking his head, he's definitely lying to you. When somebody sits back in their chair, they're showing that they're tired of the conversation. When they're rubbing their hands together, it means they have a positive feeling about something. Follow me for more.
Okay, you know where that be came from. Slice Adams. That thing, bro, about the cats was insane, man. What is it with the CIA, man? They're trying to make animals into spies. I just don't think it can work.
Facts about Earth that will make you question everything. The ocean contains about $770 trillion worth of gold, which is enough money to build your own ocean in your backyard. The hottest place on Earth is Death Valley, California, and it's reached temperatures as high as 134 degrees Fahrenheit. And while we're on the subject of temperature, Antarctica can reach 60 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. And this is the Kitti's hognose bat, which is the smallest mammal on Earth.
This is the smallest prisoner in the world, and you will not believe what this guy actually did. Back in 2015, a group of kids were left home alone after the mother and father went out to get some pizza, when the young boy put his baby sister in the oven. Now, you've probably seen these videos about this story all over social media. Now, although some of the information in these videos is completely fake, the majority of this story is actually 100% true. So the kids were left home while their parents went out, and they decided to put the baby sister, who was like 18 months old, in the oven. Reportedly, one of them opened the door and shoved her in there, while the other one turned the heat and made it hot. Reportedly, when the parents came home, smelled some sort of cooking, and it wasn't good. Now, the kids had been playing around and playing a game. They didn't know what the oven was, so it was meant to be a prank and a game between them with no parental supervision there. It went very, very wrong. Now, the parents were actually charged because of this, and the kids, of course, were far too young to even be investigated, really. And both the parents were actually charged with 2 counts of endangering a child and murder.
Do you know why Michael Jackson's skin became so white? Michael had a medium brown skin tone as a kid and teenager, but in 1983, when Michael was 24 years old, his skin started to change colors and it was scary. Random spots appeared on his skin and they gradually lost their pigment. In 1986, Michael's doctor informed him that he was suffering from a skin disorder called vitiligo. Vitiligo gives people white patches on their skin and makes them sensitive to sunlight. This is why Michael often walked under umbrella and wore hats that shaded his face. Apart from vitiligo, Michael Jackson also struggled with lupus, which is another kind of disease where the immune system mistakenly attacks its own tissues. To treat his conditions, Michael used skin creams and makeup to hide uneven color patches on his skin, but many people criticized Michael and said he was trying to become white, but Michael had his own reasons, and he explained them.
I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. Is something that I cannot help. Okay, but when people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me.
Facts that I wish.
Never knew that. I mean, you know, people, they have their theories, man, about, you know, Michael Jackson, I guess, recovered another person because I didn't know, like you say, he had a skin disorder. Hey, man, we all gotta do our facts. We all gotta do our research, bro. That's interesting.
Wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
Yeah. I never knew that.
Ridiculous facts that will make you laugh. A woman earlier this year brought a baby hedgehog to a wildlife hospital thinking that it was hers, but in reality it was actually just a baby. Queen Elizabeth one time actually accepted an invite to a random wedding that invited her. In the 1980s, an army supply clerk accidentally ordered a $28,000 anchor instead of a $6 lamp because of a mistype in an order number. What? There was a rumor that Stephen Hawking would deliberately run over people's toes that he didn't like. He denied the rumor by stating that it was malicious and that he would run over anybody's toes that spread it. Animal Planet aired a fake documentary about mermaids that made thousands of people convinced that they were real. Twice. And it wasn't even on April Fool's Day. It was in May 2012 and May 2013. It was the most watched telecast on Animal Planet since Steve Irwin's memorial 6 years before. This teenager's art was not discovered by his parents for multiple years until they looked at their house on Google Earth.
What the? Why would he put that on top of the house, bro? I even did it. Slap the mess out of me, bro. What the hell?
Are your toys alive?
What did I just walk into?
Would you have a robot made? New fear unlocked.
It's too realistic.
Gotta be careful here. Well, that puts an end to my tarpon fishing. Wow.
You're a brave soul.
Get back. This is a war game about.
That's exactly what I would have did, Seekers. I'm especially was that alligator crocodile? It don't matter. I'm hitting it just as soon as I see something come out that water. Like I said, we was the brave still even standing there, man. I would have been gone.
Now trying to survive your sleep paralysis demon. Let's talk about a horror game called Silent Still. The entire point of this game is that it's trying to recreate the feeling of having sleep paralysis. And while your character can walk around during the day, at nighttime when you go to sleep, you cannot move. You are completely frozen. All you can do is look around your room while your sleep paralysis demon walks about. It basically tries to recreate that feeling of helplessness. One of the interesting parts about this game, though, is that it actually tries to tell a story. During this time, your character is discovering that they have sleep paralysis, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with it. There are 3 nights, 3 sleep paralysis sessions that you have to get through in this game, and a few of them scared the absolute hell out of me. I don't want to spoil anything, especially because the last night takes the game in a completely different direction than I was expecting, but I do have a full playthrough of this game on my channel. I hope you know that you have a lot to be proud of about yourself, and I'm proud of you simply for the fact that you haven't given up.
All the horror news that you probably missed.
I have to check that out.
This found footage movie series just announced a new installment. We'll be getting Hell House Lineage, and it's supposedly the last but scariest Hell House movie. Hell House Lineage will take place right after Hell House Origins, the Carmichael Manor. So watch this one if you want to be all caught up in time for the new movie. If you're a fan of Hill House, Midnight Mass, or Fall of the House of Usher, then you probably know that Mike Flanagan is now making shows for Prime Video. And his next project is an 8-episode miniseries based on Carrie by Stephen King. I'm a fan of literally all of Mike Flanagan's Stephen King movies, so here's some bonus recommendations. I already know that Carrie is going to be amazing. Creep is one of the best found footage horror movies on Netflix, so I'm very excited for the Creep Tapes, which will be a found footage TV series, where every episode is another one of Peach Fuzz's previous victims that we haven't seen before. Longlegs, Saw, and Stephen King is a match made in hell, and I am so here for it. Because the director of Longlegs, Osgood Perkins, will be directing The Monkey, based on a short story by Stephen King and produced by James Wan. Neon actually sent me a sneak peek of a kill scene from this movie. Even though I definitely can't show it on here, I will say that it got me so excited to see the rest of the movie. This one is going to be a bloody good time. In a Violent Nature went super viral all over social media when it first came out. And one of the cast members just announced that there will be a sequel in A Violent Nature too. Hopefully it'll have even crazier kills than the first one, but I have no idea how they're going to top this scene. And that's...
This photo is of the most dangerous man on Earth, the Cincinnati Crawler. This actual photo was captured by the family back in 1974 after this man entered their house, and escaping shortly after the photo was taken. So in 1974, the Johnson family lived in Cincinnati. It was a quiet neighborhood, they had a nice house in the middle of the countryside, not much went on here, until they started noticing very strange things happening. Their 14-year-old daughter would regularly say that she would see these eyes outside of her window at night, peering in, staring at her. And with most nights the sounds of banging and footsteps, which they thought was just rats or some kind of pipes. Till one night, their youngest son was laying in bed, ready to go to sleep. The family dog would regularly come in to sleep with the young boy and just stay on his bed, but he felt the dog jump up onto his bed slowly and went to pet it. But it wasn't the dog. That was when he spotted this guy at the end of his bed, just standing there. After everybody had spotted him, the man ran out of the house and has still never been found. Though reportedly 4 other young children had gone missing in this area at the same time in the 70s, which police believe he could have been responsible for. On top of this, in the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of human experiments going on in the exact same place.
Psychology hacks to read anybody like a book. If somebody is closing their eyes when talking to you, they're probably hiding something. When a person covers their mouth, it means that they don't want to say what they're thinking. When a person is rubbing their chin, they're trying to make a decision. Follow me for more.
That's just in facts, man. I always write those down. Those psychology facts, man. You can analyze a person by learning those, I guess, traits that people be doing when they're talking to you. I wasn't that it. Oh, what the hell?
Yes, you saw that right. The moon was just hit by a giant meteor and exploded. We have at least 24 hours to prepare before fragments of the moon reach Earth. expect massive meteor showers and some pieces big enough to take out entire cities. Media is reporting that without the moon's gravity, our oceans are about to be unpredictably wild. Tsunamis will strike coastal lines around the world, and if you live near a coastline, get you and your family to higher ground as soon as possible. They're also saying the Earth's tilt and rotation will start to wobble. This means insane, unpredictable weather and extreme storms that can cause chaos. You need to stay inside and safe, because now that people think the world is ending, there will be riots, loots, and people just not listening to the law at all. Things are about to get very scary very fast. I'm not gonna lie, bro, we just all gotta stick together right now. Take care of your family and take care of each other, man. I don't know what to do. Please share this video because this was just a prank. It's creepypasta, and you can really scare your friends with this.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. Zoom, the app widely used for remote work, is telling its employees that they need to come back to the office.
What?
For Mental Health Awareness Week, McDonald's changed their Happy Meal to just the meal. The Red Lobster found a rare orange lobster in their batch and decided to donate it to the Denver Aquarium. Florida put new state line signs that welcome drivers to the free state of Florida. Japan is running surveys on their young people, asking them why they're not getting married amid a population crisis in the country. The OceanGate co-founder said that he wants to dive to the portal to hell that sits in the Bahamas. Costco is now selling apocalypse buckets where you get 150 servings of food that will last for 25 years. 65,000 coffee mugs randomly went missing in a Tesla factory. A recent study published says that young adulthood is no longer the happiest time of a person's life. Another study published that you actually can't have too much money, and that billionaires are significantly happier than millionaires.
Let's talk about the cannibal that made a real-life snuff film. So on May 29, 2012, mysterious packages began arriving at various businesses around the Montreal area in Canada, including an elementary school. Each of the packages contained the severed and decomposing remains of a 34-year-old man named June Lin. Police were able to trace June's last known whereabouts to the apartment of 30-year-old Luka Magnotta. Now, Luka was a man who was so obsessed with getting famous that he was willing to do the most disgusting and vile acts imaginable just to get people talking about him, which included posting videos of himself online torturing and unaliving kittens. Police were able to determine that June had been unalived on May 24th, 5 days before his severed limbs were mailed to police, and using that information, they discovered something even more disturbing. On May 25th, the day after June was unalived, Luka actually uploaded a video to the website bestgore.com entitled One Lunatic, One Ice Pick. The video depicted June Lin tied to a bed completely naked, and Luka standing over him before stabbing him repeatedly in the chest and the neck with an ice pick. Afterwards, the video depicts Luka decapitating June and then cutting off his arms and his legs. From there, the video gets even worse, and it shows Luka using June's severed head and his severed arms to masturbate himself. After that, Luka is seen cutting chunks of flesh and meat away from June's buttocks and then feeding them to his dog and also attempting to eat them himself. Luka stated he did all this in an attempt to get famous and that he was not sorry at all for what he did, and he is currently serving life in prison.
So this is widely considered to be one of the most credible paranormal experiences in U.S. history. For upwards of 88 different witnesses, independent witnesses, within a 72-hour period in this home who claimed to experience some sort of phenomenon. The home was occupied by the Gooden family. Very normal, very suburban, husband and wife and their 10-year-old daughter at the time, Marcia. What was interesting was that the occurrences in the house actually dated back to 1968 when the family heard scratching and unexplained knocking coming from inside their walls. In November of 1974, a crowd appeared in front of the home because there was something unexplainable going on inside. A collection of 5 different officers were called to the home, all of whom claimed to see appliances lift off the ground and levitate. People claimed to see the cat talk. People claimed that objects were flying off the walls, dishes were smashing on the floor. Even Ed and Lorraine Warren showed up to the home. Given all of the police reports and the records of this incident and how it has gone unexplained for so many years, what do you think really?
The 3 kids while singing to them. Rachel Henry was a 22-year-old living in Oklahoma. She lost her mom when she was 18, which had a huge impact on her mental health. She got into substance abuse and eventually she lost her job. She then moved to Arizona with her 3 kids and lived at her aunt's house. But she was still addicted and broke. Her addiction was so bad, neighbors saw her walking around the street like a zombie. One night, she was alone at the house playing with her 3 kids when all of a sudden she began suffocating her 2-year-old daughter with a pillow. Even her 3-year-old son was punching and kicking Rachel to try and get her to stop, but it was no use. Once her daughter stopped moving, she carried her to the bedroom and wrapped her in a blanket to make it look like she was sleeping. Now she started chasing her 3-year-old son around the house. Luckily, the aunt came home just as this was happening. You won't believe what Rachel told her aunt. Hit the plus for part 2.
You
Disturbing
gotta
things
find
that
that.
you should never look up on Google. Part 2. Bianca Devans was a 17-year-old from New York known for posting e-girl content to her Instagram. In April 2019, one of her followers, 21-year-old Brandon Clark, DM'd her, sparking a romantic relationship between the two. A few months later, Bianca, Brandon, and another friend of theirs named Alex attended a concert together in the Bronx. Sometime during the concert, Brandon caught Bianca kissing Alex, which led to an argument on the car ride home. Brandon eventually began assaulting her and slicing her neck with a knife that he'd hid under his seat. He then got into Bianca's phone and posted several gruesome images of her corpse to her Instagram story and released a video of the murder as well. He then posted the following picture to her page, hinting that he was going to take his own life. However, police were notified before he could do so, and Brandon was taken into custody and sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Bianca Devans.
Disturbing facts that might ruin your day. There have been at least 2 fatal plane crashes due to wasps. We are all spending more than 6 hours a day on our phones, which is more than 25% of our entire existence. There are job applications out there that are only for collecting data. This is why large companies have positions that they never actually seem to hire. This wildlife painter from the 1800s would eat all of the birds that he painted. Bald eagles, owls, sparrows, robins, whooping cranes. 5,000 mail carriers are attacked by dogs every year. A 6-year-old's family thought he was too friendly with strangers, so they had a coworker that was a stranger to the boy hold him in a truck for 4 hours before lecturing him about stranger danger. Half of all plastic in the world has been created in the last 15 years. Crayons have a derivative of beef fat called stearic acid that is also what gives it its waxy smell. Loneliness can be as harmful to somebody's health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
I think the one that got to me the most is our screen time, man. 6 hours on the screen. He said that's 25% of our life. Just looking and staring at the screen, man. Everybody, man, I feel like needs to decrease their screen time. Go out, touch grass, bro. As the people would say, man. Tell me down below, man, if you guys know your average screen time.
Three places you should never swim. One of the rivers that you should never set foot in is Bubbly Creek, located in Chicago. In the 1900s, American meatpacking companies drained their waste into this creek, which caused really toxic fumes due to the decomposition of animal organs and blood. Not even a fish could survive in this creek. In Thailand, there's one area that causes concern, called the Sam Mason Hole. It's a really deep underwater cave, which causes bad visibility for whoever swims there. So unless you want to get lost in the sea, I don't recommend swimming there. The last place is called the Amazon Basin in South America. It's drained by the Amazon River and has lots of predatory animals, like caimans, barracudas, piranhas, and deadly candiru fish, which is attracted by urine and can get into your urine. These are the most scariest curses to use in real life, part 3. To perform the third curse, you have to go outside at midnight with a glass cup and make sure that nobody is around you. Then say the person's name you want to curse 10 times over and over again. Next, take the glass cup and throw it on the ground. When it shatters, count how many pieces it is in. Now the number that you get is the amount of days it will take for the person you curse to die. Now pick up every piece of glass, but be very careful. If you cut yourself with the glass while picking it up, the curse will be placed on you instead.
Stop, if you have a dog, you need to know this. When a dog lays on their back with their belly exposed, it means they trust you because that's a very vulnerable position. And when a dog leans against your leg, it's their way of hugging you and showing you love. Dogs get something called the zoomies, which makes them go crazy. And it only happens to dogs that are happy and healthy, so if your dog is doing this, then you're a good owner. When a dog tilts their head, they're curious and trying to figure out whatever it is they're looking at. And finally, dogs sneeze while play fighting to show that they don't want to hurt you. It's their way of saying it's just a joke. You can only follow if you learn something new.
The zoomies, man. My dogs get that all the time. So we don't know, man. We doing a good
Gruesome
job.
Facts You Didn't Know, Part 125. Salomo Aruch was a boxer of Jewish Greek descent who had to literally fight for his life during the Holocaust. Before arriving at Auschwitz, he had an undefeated record of 24-0. Almost immediately after arriving at the camp, a Nazi commandant asked the new prisoners if there was any fighters or boxers among the group. He raised his hand and he was forced to fight right then and there to prove that he wasn't lying. Within minutes, he defeated his opponent and was immediately presented with another, which he also knocked out. In almost 2 years, he participated in over 200 fights. They would fight until somebody went down or they got sick of watching, but they wouldn't leave until they saw blood. This next one is a prime example as why you should never ride with your feet on the dashboard. Grain Keeley was the passenger of a car that skidded on black ice and careened into a wall in 2006. When the accident occurred, her feet were on the dashboard, causing her knees to slam into her face, breaking almost every bone. She was also left with 2 missing teeth and a brain leak. Following an infection, doctors were forced to remove her forehead for 2 years. Finally, in 2009, she was fitted with a ceramic forehead.
Gorillas are unintentionally the funniest animals on the planet. Let me explain. They share 98% of our DNA and also custody of the hatred of getting caught in the rain. Keep the wall hug, keep the face. That's perfect form. You've seen gorillas beat their chest, but have you heard it? Science says it's for intimidation. Hold time. Sounds like Bubble Buddy up in the blicky. There's another thing you hear around gorillas. They eat 30 to 40 pounds of roughage a day, which means gorillas are almost constantly ripping it. Gorillas can walk on 2, and you know they sound like Squidward's steps doing it. This is a western lowland gorilla, and its genus name is gorilla, and its species is also gorilla. And this particular gorilla is a subspecies of gorilla called gorilla, meaning its full scientific name is gorilla, gorilla, gorilla. Sound like a designer song. Fun fact, the name gorilla comes from an ancient Greek word meaning a tribe of hairy women. Gorillas are a walking tribe of intrusive thoughts. They don't think it, they just do it. Yeah, we're not that different. You ever lock in for too long and just start tweaking? Yeah, that 98 is something serious. We twins for real. You know that's his girl, and you know that's not the first time. You want more? Okay, gorillas have been recorded singing and humming while eating. Okay, last one. Kobe the gorilla was famous for using sign language. She was also attracted to humans after being raised by them and was obsessed with the milk faucets, to the point where several women were apparently told to flash Coco. There was a lawsuit, but Coco never got charged, but it proves that gorillas are like us. They can multitask and look at 2 things at once.
Oh, Coco the gorilla, he was on timer, bro. Those women actually did it. That's
This is the
crazy.
disturbing truth behind ants. Okay, so did you know when ants die, a certain juice leaks out of their body, which tells the other ants to bury it. But sometimes those juices get on alive ants. And no matter how much they squirm and try and tell the other ants that they're not dead, the other ants just won't listen and bury it alive. So if you ever saw ants carrying each other, this is the reason why, and there's a very high chance that that ant is still alive and is about to get buried alive. Myths you still believe.
The more you know, Seekers. I never even knew ants freaking secreted a liquid like that. Part of the ecosystem, I guess, man. But I wonder how many times, man, that juice got on a live ant, bro, and they accidentally be able to be freaking friends or part of their, group alive. Makes you think, doesn't it?
About Canada Part 3. Canada is ruled by Britain. Canada is a parliamentary democracy and constitutional monarchy. However, the King of Britain is only a figurehead, but he really only fills ceremonial and symbolic roles as needed, and is represented by the Governor-General here in Canada. We have our own government with a Prime Minister and a Parliament that makes decisions like what laws we need to adhere to, and they are elected in similar to the US, except they have a president. People don't lock their doors in Canada. In his documentary Bowling for Columbine, Michael Moore made the bold statement that Canadians felt so safe they refused to lock their doors. His theory was that we were totally unafraid of crime. Well, while we are a safer country than the United States regarding assaults and homicides, we do have a lot of property and car theft. Actually, more than America. So yes, we lock our doors.
Kind of depends when you were born, but do you remember
I kind of knew that
anything
was
about this
cap.
movie? One thing. There's a reason that Return to Oz is considered to be one of the most disturbing films that Walt Disney Pictures ever put out. Basically, the premise is that Dorothy has come back from Oz, and everybody in her life believes that she is mentally ill. So like a perfectly good farm family, they submit her to an asylum. At this asylum, she is supposed to receive electroshock therapy. She then escapes the asylum with the help of this anonymous accomplice. They end up jumping into a nearby river to escape the building, but then they get washed away from each other. Dorothy then wakes up again in Oz. She has a talking chicken named Bellina, and it's like the entire place has been overrun with this gang called the Wheelers. They are so scary. Not only that, but she encounters Princess Mumbai, a headless woman with a collection of heads.
First games you should never play. Part 35, Gnome Gnome Come. This game will allow you to have any wish come true. You'll need 3 or more people to play this game, and you'll also need to start in a dark room. Tie one end of a thread to the leg of a chair or the leg of a table. Now one by one, have every player wrap a piece of candy to this thread. As each player ties their candy, make a wish. This can be anything, but do not say it out loud. Once everyone has made their wish and put their candy on the string, have everyone face away from the chair. And now have one player turn off the lights. Once this is all complete, you should all chant Gnome Gnome Come 3 times. Now wait and do not move. Listen carefully for any movement, rustling, or candy grabbers crinkling. If you do hear anything, the game is going as it should be, but do not turn around until this noise stops. Once it does stop, you can turn on the lights and go look at the candy. And if your candy has been unwrapped, bitten, or eaten entirely, your visitor has chosen to grant your wish.
These are the 9 deadliest animals to humans. You may think they're polar bears, lions, or even sharks, but they're not. Wait till you see these. Number 9, hippos. 500 human deaths per year. Number 8, elephants. 600 deaths per year. Number 7, saltwater crocodiles. 1,000 deaths per year. Number 6, roundworms. 2,500 deaths per year. Number 5, scorpions. 2,600 deaths per year. Number 4, assassin bugs. 10,000 deaths per year. Number 3, saw-scaled viper snakes. 138,000 deaths per year. Number 2, freshwater snails. 200,000 deaths per year. And finally, number 1, mosquitoes. 725,000 to 1 million deaths per year. We are afraid of the wrong creatures.
We really are. I didn't know mosquitoes had a freaking count that high. The top 3, man, definitely surprised me. And snails too. Well, they said freshwater or saltwater snails. That's why I stay out of the ocean, man. It's a scary place. But that mosquitoes joints.
A few months back, I went to a film festival and I watched a movie that I can't stop thinking about, and the release date is so soon. It's been in my top horror movies of 2024, and I have a little sneak peek, and I can't wait for you guys to see.
Behind that door.
Could you open the door? What do you want?
Trying to save her?
I saw you come out of the house just now. You went to the car to get something. You left this door open behind you. Somebody went inside. What? I saw you go to your car and you left the door open. Somebody slipped inside. They're in there now. I didn't see anyone. I know that. Your back was turned.
Oh crap.
What are you doing standing outside my house? Would you just open the door? I'm trying to help you.
Did you open it? don't know.
The fiancée of the ice hockey star who died from a freak accident has paid tribute to her sweet angel. Nottingham Panthers player Adam Johnson's throat was cut by an opponent's skate blade when they collided during a match against the Sheffield Steelers on Saturday. The 29-year-old briefly stood up, bleeding profusely onto the ice before collapsing again. He received immediate medical attention with CPR performed on the ice and was taken to hospital but could not be saved. His girlfriend, who he proposed to in the summer, has paid tribute on Instagram saying, "Sweet, sweet angel, I'll miss you forever and love you always."
If you could rack your brain right now to ask yourself what is the most disturbing Disney Channel original movie, which one would you pick? If you chose Don't Look Under the Bed, you're correct, because the movie actually almost never even made it to television. Any of the sequences that did eventually make the cut were considered so disturbing, this is actually one of the only Disney Channel original movies that has a TV PG rating. Anne Sweeney, who was the president of Disney Channel at the time, as well as countless other executives, had a lot of issues with this film. And even to this day, there are still some sequences, some scenes that have never seen the light of day. They were not going to be included in the movie. And I think in part, the credit should go to the director, who was really trying to creatively push the boundaries of what could be included in children's horror. Even just beyond the disturbing imagery, they explored some pretty dark themes in a children's movie, starting to play with psychological horror when Frances can see things that everybody else thinks she's crazy for. In 2006, Disney Channel had to pull it from the October catalog. It will not be on Disney Channel again.
I stopped the series at part 17
I need to check it out.
1 year ago, but now I'm bringing it back. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Number 1. There are more bones in gummy worms than real worms. Number 2. When you kiss a person in the mouth, you exchange over 80 million types of bacteria. Number 3. In July 2020 in Panama, 7 people were found dead after an exorcism. The demons that possessed these 7 people were not happy with the exorcist, so they took the lives of these 7 people before the job was done. Number 4. 2 days ago, the state of Texas declared war with the United States. Number 5. It is physically possible to be so constipated that your stool will back all the way up your digestive tract and you will vomit your poop. Number 6. Panda's diet is mostly vegetarian, but they will eat meat. The reason they don't is because they are too lazy to hunt down other creatures. Number 7. Your eyes have a separate immune system from the rest of your body. Once your body's immune system discovers you have eyes, it will attack and inflame the blood vessels in the back of your eyes until you completely lose your vision. Number 8. The average person eats 5 grams of microplastics in a week. That's about the exact amount of plastic on a credit card. Yeah.
Be eating our credit cards out here, bro? Hey, man, you gotta be careful, man, what you eating, bro. Got microscopic freaking plastic fibers in the food. Like I said, you eat too much of it, man, it's gonna add up to a damn credit card. They really have to do a better job of trying to get rid of that out of the food as much as possible. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate your support. Make sure you guys comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button. Also hit that post notification bell. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.